Good day to you. My name is Maria Kądzielska and this is Poland Daily Culture, the best cultural show in English in Poland, of course. And today we're talking about a movie about the Primat Wyszyński, the Prophet. With us is Michał Pastewka, cinematographer. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Sir, in the previous episode we talked about the post-production. And now my question is, of course, how are all the special effects made? Because it's always something extremely interesting to all the fans of movies, but also something hidden, I would say. We don't always know which things are real and which are not.
Well, that's the idea of special effects, that they are supposed to be invisible. When you see them, it means that they've been done wrong, you know. They are there to hide things, and they are there to also make things possible that are actually not possible to shoot, for example. When it comes to films in Poland, special effects are, well, not special effects, but the visual effects, the computer effects. They're mainly to hide things that are in the frame and they're not supposed to be there. Like, easiest example is a microphone. Like, for example, I have a microphone here, and we on the set we would actually try to hide it behind the clothes. But if that kind of microphone would be visible, then a special effect is there to cover it up. And just simple things like this. When it comes to a historic drama, there are a lot of things that we've already discussed in the exterior shooting that are modern. For example, in this film, we were shooting a huge scene of a military parade in the center of Warsaw, in front of the Palace of Culture and Science, which is right now surrounded by the skyscrapers. They were not there 60 years ago. And
but at least the Palace of Culture is the same.
Yeah, the Palace of Culture is pretty much the same except for the windows, which we've already discussed.
Crazy. And Palace of Culture has a lot of windows.
Yeah, it does. But the thing is that special effects are used to erase things, for example, in this shot in the background that are, you know, not supposed to be there, like the skyscrapers. We can do a lot of things in special effects. We can actually do almost everything in special effects. But the thing is that people don't realize that special effects, they cost a lot of money. Instead of just relying on special effects, you are trying to shoot as much as possible. Let's call
correctly.
Let's call it correctly, or like analog, without using a computer, and use the computer only to do essentials. I personally have this way of thinking that the best computer effects are achieved when they're mixed with the real ones. The example in this film is there is a war scene where there are some explosions. So what we did essentially on the set, we had the pyrotechnics, and they would do explosions for us on the set. But the actual, in the final footage, the explosion is also generated in the computer. So we have a mixture of what we filmed on the set plus something that was added later in post-production. So on our set we had a lot of dust blown up from the ground, but for example no fire. Fire is dangerous. To blow dust from the ground is less dangerous. So we go for this that we can achieve on set, and then we add some fire. So when this is mixed with a computer graphic, it looks more believable. If you would just shoot an empty field and then add the entire explosion in post-production, to make it look real, it would be much harder. But if the graphic has something already shot that he can work on, that he has a cloud of dust coming out from the ground, and he can just add more dust, add more sand, add some more fire and some particles flying around, it is going to look more believable. So things like this.
So actually you cannot really rely that much on the computer effect, but you're trying to give them as much as possible in real shooting.
Right now, in the modern era of filmmaking, special effects can be done very, very well and very convincing. We can, well, the big example is the new Lion King that basically looks almost like they would be shooting real animals, you know, and they look believable. But this is a blockbuster. This is a huge budget production, and to render all the surrounding and the animals and the fur of the animals, which is actually one of the hardest things to render in the computer, it takes time, money, a lot of computer power, and so on.
And still, they say viewers say that actually the cartoon version was
well,
better.
to be honest, I prefer it, but it's basically because it was actually the first
Yeah,
film that I've
used to
seen
it.
in cinema, and I have a special sentiment for the
We
cartoon
all have
version.
the very good sentiment for
But the point is that, you know, we can make the computer graphics look very, very realistic, but it takes time and takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of money.
Money is not the strongest point of Polish movies.
It's not. It's not. I mean, there is no point of putting so much money in special effects if you could spend it on some other things that I think are more important for the film, especially if, well, if I would be shooting a science fiction film, that there is no doubt we have to use special effects, for example, to do aliens or spaceships and things like this. We cannot shoot them in real. But for a historic drama, it's actually, you know, it's actually cheaper sometimes to cover up a few things instead of just removing them in special effects. Of course, sometimes you don't really have a choice, but when you do, I would always go for the analog version of shooting.
It would be interesting to see the movie which is only made in analog version without any special effect and how it really looks like. So of course, right now, as you can hear, a lot of things are just mixed. And some are real, some are not real. The question is for you, which actually you recognize, but we hope that you will see everything absolutely real in the movie The Prophet about Primoz Wyszyński. So of course we invite you to the movie theaters, and thank you for watching our show.